I remember when I first heard about Kingdom Hearts. I was 5 years old at the time, at an age where I couldn't even progress through Pokemon Yellow. At that time, video games were a new concept to me. Only when Chain of Memories released on the Game Boy Advance did I finally become familiar with the series. I saw my cousin playing it on his SP, and I was like, yo, is that Goofy and Donald in an action game? Days later, and I saw the release trailer for the same game. I just remember looking up at the TV and being like, wow. It wasn't until I was around 13 or 14 when Birth by Sleep came out that I finally get to experience it on my PSP. And seeing that 2022 is coming soon, the Kingdom Hearts franchise will be 20 years in the making. Coming from the perspective of someone new, who hasn't even played the first game, I do understand that it had that initial spark that lit up and brought this universe to life. I want to dive back into 2002 when Sora and his friends first crash landed into the industry. I want to take a look back at Kingdom Hearts. Set the scene. It's 2002 at E3 and you're watching the PS2 announcements and see this. Could you imagine the faces of everyone who grew up as Disney fans watching that trailer? Before this, no one knew about what was happening at Square Enix before. No one could have anticipated that they would collaborate on with Disney. I'm excited. While licensed games right now are kind of a subject, this was a seasoned RPG company behind what looked like to be something passionate. What license is Disney letting them write around? Yo. Yo. Yo! And what are these cutscenes? What is this music? Square and Disney brought their A game. While a risky move, you can't deny that this game was looking to be something special. In IGN's Best of E3 2002 awards, they called Kingdom Hearts as one of the liveliest combinations since the invention of peanut butter and jelly, with the best presentation. They hyped it up, and to be honest, it sounded pretty lit. Not only that, but this is also Disney trying to capitalize itself at the moment. Think for a moment of all the shows that Disney had between 2000 and 2002. Fantasia, 2000. Emperor's New Groove. Recess, School's Out. Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Monsters, Inc., Return to Neverland. Lilo and Stitch. And Treasure Planet. Out of all of these, one of them I would consider a cult classic. 3 of them were really defining, but the rest are kind of meh. Monsters Inc. is the most successful out of all of them. Disney at the time had their bar set high and were experimenting. This is clear from The Emperor's New Groove and Lilo and Stitch. But compared to the powerhouse lineup they had in the 90s, Hercules, Toy Story, Tarzan, A Goofy Movie, Pocahontas, Mulan, not that one, Mulan, the animated movie, and The Lion King. These movies are powerhouses each individually, but are the golden lineup of Disney at the time, and today as well, depending on who you ask. What about Square? They were doing pretty good for the most part. Final Fantasy X was just released, and that was a hit. Riding off the coattails of that into 2002, I think about anyone who knew anything about Square at that time would have faith that they could cook something up with Disney. And you know what? They did it. Kingdom Hearts really nailed the childlike whimsicality of the Disney genre of movies, along with the serious overtones that Square was known for. You play as Sora, a boy who just wants to go out and explore the world with his friends. But as you traverse this journey, you find that the world is a lot more nuanced than what you originally thought. Gameplay-wise, this game is one part beat 'em up, one part adventure, and one part RPG. Light. As the game progresses, you start off stiff and clunky with your Keyblade, but much like Lollipop Chainsaw, the progression adds fluidity to the combat. Soon enough, you're dodge rolling, tech bonusing, and air comboing the shadows left and right, and it's a beat 'em up that consistently feels good and fresh because of this system. The adventure part is exactly what you think it might be. Go here, help Disney character overcome a major plot point in their world, go to a different world. The writers of the game put a good effort into incorporating Sora into this world, and I commend them for that. And remember what I said earlier about Disney at this era being in an odd point in the market? Well, they avoided it by using their most iconic series. While you, as a character, are pushing along the story and discovering the secrets of this universe, it doesn't feel like it's moving along without you. It's integration instead of just addition. And while you might see it as convoluted, for children being able to see and play with their characters, this just scratches an itch. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, and I don't think Square originally intended for such a complicated story, but that's just how it comes off in the grand scheme of things. It's very clear that Square is setting up for greater story in the future. The introduction, the journey, and the ending all scream that this is a game worth playing, something worth experiencing. Kingdom Hearts illustrates and showcases a world that we're familiar with, but with the passion and magic that Walt Disney has inspired with his storytelling. Why is this important? Movie licensed games are something of a niche in the industry. While there's a lot of great ones, few and far between, they don't take risks or nail their impact as much as Kingdom Hearts has. As of recent, the top of the genre could be defined by Spider-Man on the PS4 or Shadow of Mordor. Even their origins are not based off of movies, they're based off of the source material. So they can afford to be a little bit more creative with how they present themselves and on what scale. Kingdom Hearts, however, remember what I said about it not just being addition, but also integration? This is what really defines how gamers should experience their favorite games, not just by giving the player opportunity to play with their favorite characters in their favorite worlds, but by actively pushing the story around it. It doesn't feel like every world is one isolated incident, but that it's all part of something bigger, something more sinister, but something to look forward to and explore. It really is an adventure. Compare that to games now that are either uninspired or primarily based on the nostalgia of the license and nothing more. Nostalgia and license recognition is not what makes a game successful. When Marvel's Avengers unveiled, it was during what was arguably at one of the most hyped moments in Marvel's moments. People felt mixed because while it was another franchise banking on its A game, it was marketed as a looter beat 'em up live service. Rather than focusing on an experience where the gameplay and story match, there is a higher focus on grinding and looting. And we already have those games in this industry. It's games like these nowadays that make me appreciate not only games from a different time, but an industry at a different time. I don't want to be that guy and say, back in my day, but going back and playing Kingdom Hearts, it really made me appreciate the whimsicality that they were able to nail. It reminded me of a point in time where I played Pokemon and I evolved my first Nidoran, or when I played Super Mario 64 DS and figured out that you can fly around Baum Battlefield. Kingdom Hearts has the magic of reminding you of that period in history, 19 years in the making. And for me, I enjoyed games much more back then. As I get older, I find it harder and harder to put myself in the protagonist's shoes, to pick up the controller and immerse myself. It might be me growing up, but I recognize that there's something special about Kingdom Hearts, because it reminds me of a simpler time, 15 years ago, when I first discovered video games. When I first turned on my Game Boy Advance SP and went, wow. Kingdom Hearts manages to bring it back consistently, and while it's not perfect, it does a pretty damn good job for a game made in 2002. And I'm grateful for that. What about you? What's your Kingdom Hearts?